Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to language lesson 154. Today, we are going to begin with our oral language exercises. We're going to be covering two particular verbs, and those verbs are can and may. Now, when the word can is being used, it expresses ability. When the word may is being used, it expresses possibility as well as permission. So you're going to see a number of examples in that while we do the exercises today. Simply repeat after me, please. Number 1, may I leave the room? Number 2, I may leave early today. Number 3, you may leave the room whenever you wish. Number 4, he can fix your bicycle. Number 5, do you think you can solve this problem? Number 6, maybe Nathan can solve it. Number 7, Jonathan can run as fast as his brother. Number 8, I may come over this afternoon. Number 9, I may come over this afternoon. And finally, number 10, I can come over this afternoon. Now, you should have noticed how each verb was being used, and there was a particular thing you should have noticed as well, that one sentence was repeated more than once. So remember I said earlier that when you use the verb may, it can either express permission or it can express possibility. And the reason why that sentence was used is because the vocal intonation will tell you whether or not it's expressing permission or possibility. Okay, and we'll have more practice of those two verbs being used in the correct context in the future. Let's move on. Today we are going to be reviewing your capitalization and punctuation. That's a continuous skill that we want you to master, along with verb identification. And I'm going to ask that you are practicing your diagramming at home, just remembering that when you have compound subjects and verbs that you'll need to create rockets. Otherwise, you only need a single diagram. We are also going to move into a new concept today and go over some thinking and writing skills concerning it. And I just wanted to remind you that today is also your quiz 21 on subject and verb agreement. So be sure that you complete that today, please. Remember that all of your assignments have a due date and you want to honor that. Okay, let's begin. So you will notice there's a sentence that has obvious mistakes in both capitalization and punctuation. I want you on a scrap sheet of paper to rewrite this sentence correctly. You can feel free to pause the video in order to do so. I am going to move forward by identifying the mistakes. So first and foremost, you know that every sentence begins with a capital letter. So we would capitalize the pronoun I at the beginning of this sentence. Now, this pronoun happens to be special because regardless of where it is found in a sentence, be it at the beginning, middle, or end, you always capitalize the pronoun I. That's very significant. You would continue with I said, and there would be a comma, followed by a quotation. Please buy me a burger, comma, fries, comma, and a milkshake, comma, capital D for dad, period, and another end quotation. So hopefully you capitalized your P as well. There are a number of things that you needed to correct in this sentence. So I'm sure that you got them all correct, just knowing that when you have items in a series, for example, a comma needs to follow each one to separate them. And obviously there's a direct address to an individual, so that needed to be separated by a comma as well, and dad needed to be capitalized. Very good. Okay, so this is what I'd like for you to do at this time as well. I want you to identify the verbs being used in the sentence. Notice I said verbs with an S, plural, not verb. So there's more than one that you'll be able to locate. If you identified said as a verb, very good. That is an action. And by. Excellent. All right, remember you are to easily and quickly locate particular parts of speech, so hopefully you are practicing that at home as well. Today we are going to move into what we call those troublesome verbs. There are some verbs in the English language that happen to trip us up as we speak, but that won't happen to you because you will know your rules. And so the first verb that we are going to introduce is sit, S-I-T. Sit means to rest or to be seated. Again, sit means to rest or to be seated. Now, there are a number of parts to that word, and you have examples that you can look at. We have sit, sitting, sat, and have sat. There is also an example that follows. It says, I sit beside Kim in chapel. So again, sit means to rest or to be seated. Let's look at another example together. It says, please sit up in your seats. There is a very cute song that you can memorize to remember the different parts of sit, and I want you to listen to that at this time. Sit, am sitting, sat, have sat. Very good. Go ahead and try it. Sit, am sitting, sat, have sat. Your turn. Great. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next troublesome verb. The next troublesome verb we're going to cover today is set. Set means to put or place something. That also has a number of parts, and those parts are set, setting, set, have set. So again, set means to put or place something. Look at the example at the top. It says, set the table for dinner. I'm sure some of your moms have asked you to do that in the past, and I'm sure you responded, yes, Mom, because you're lovely students. Okay, let's look at the final example on the bottom. It says, please set my book on the desk. Again, remember, set means to put or to place something. There's also a nice little tune that goes to this that you can retain to memory as well. Go ahead and listen. Set, am setting, set, have set. Your turn. Good job. Okay. All right, so let's go over some examples together now that you're aware of not only the definitions of sit versus set, but how to use them in context. The first sentence says, Bronson sits or sets in row 5. What would the correct answer be in this situation? He sits. Very good. And the last example on this page, I want you to choose the right verb. Please sit or set the books on the counter. If you said set, you are correct. Please set the books on the counter. Okay, let's move into our worksheet, page 237. I would like for you to direct your attention to the very top. If you don't have it in front of you, feel free to go ahead and pause the video once again and grab that. And I also would like for you to look at the very top with me, and we're going to read that together. It says the verb sit means to rest or to be seated. Its other forms are sit, sit-in, sat, have sat. And there are some examples that follow. Tim and I sit in the same row. Tim is sitting 2 seats behind me. He sat there last month also. He has sat there all year. And you heard all of the different forms being used in context. The verb set means to put or place something. Its other forms are set, setting, set, have, set. Let's look at the examples that they have. Set these heavy grocery sacks down. Luke is setting my hat on the shelf. Yesterday, Ella set the baby in Grandpa's lap. I have always set my umbrella in the rack. Very good. After using a form of the verb set, you always need to name the object you are placing. You never sit something, but you always have to set something. The objects which are being put or placed in the above sentences are in dark print, and you'll notice that on your paper. So we're going to be testing your knowledge on the difference between the two verbs at this time. I would like for you to direct your attention to Think A, and we're going to do a couple of examples together. So number 1, it's asking you to fill in the blanks with the correct form of sit or set. And finally, number 2, if you used a form of the verb set, S-E-T, circle the object which is being put or placed. So let's do number 1 together. We will blank here until dinner time. Will we sit here until dinner time, or will we set here until dinner time? Yes, we will sit, S-I-T, here until dinner time. Let's go ahead and skip down to number 3. Would you please blank the box down over by the barrel? Now this involves some form of placement. So you would use which word in this case? Set. Good. Would you please set the box down over by the barrel? And remember, the instructions asked you to circle what was being placed. So what do you want set down by the barrel? The box. Very good. So you would circle the box as the object in this case. Very good. Okay, you're going to complete that entire exercise on your own individually. As we move forward, I would like for you now to direct your attention to the next page, which is page 238, and we are going to look at Think B together. So first of all, in Think B, it was asking you to underline the correct verb in parentheses. The second thing it was asking you to do is if you used a form of the verb set, you are to circle the object which is being put or placed. So I want you to skip down to number 4 in this case. It says the teacher set or sat the book on my desk. Yes, the teacher set the book on your desk. She placed it there. Okay, and now I'd like for you to direct your attention to number 14, the final one in this exercise. And that says, I put my book away and just sat or sat on the beach. You sat on the beach. Excellent. All right, so please go ahead and again, just review the definitions and go ahead and apply your learning in these exercises. And what you're going to do afterwards, you can look over the Think Closely on your own. And then you are going to, on a separate sheet of notebook paper, write sentences using those words we went over: sit, set, and sat. Very good. And finally, for remember D, it's asking you to look for errors in punctuation and capitalization, and you are going to write C for correct or I for incorrect on the blank provided. Okay, so go ahead and enjoy your exercises, and please remember that you are to complete quiz 21. So do that now if you have not already done so, and have yourself a great day.